Warning, incoming dad joke. Warning, incoming dad joke.
Guys, I think Dracula's stopping by for a bite.
What a pain in the neck.
Who is your daddy, and what does he do?
It looks like a pink nightmare.
Christmas has a Yule log. Not a log, I don't have a log, but it's...
All that I have, all that I've learned, everything I feel, all this and more, I bequeath you, my son.
Your father was Frankenstein, and your mother was the lightning.
We named the dog Indiana.
I am your father.
Good evening. You know what? We have done a lot of vampire puns, so I'm just going to go right into good evening, everyone.
And your vampire voice hasn't gotten any better.
No, it has not. It hasn't. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another blood-curdling episode of Three Geeky Dads, the show that's be positive, be negative, and be thankful. This was the worst joke I could come up with on such short notice. I am Mark.
I'm Derek.
I'm Brian.
And unfortunately, we are without Tito tonight. He had a prior engagement that I'm sure involves family or a circus or something. I don't know yet. We are still 4, not 3, because tonight we are joined by our friend and faithful listener, Dean.
Hello.
Dean! Welcome back, Dean. How are you?
Good. It's good to be back.
Thank you. It's good to have you back, Sir Dean, who is happy to join us. Yes, he is with us tonight because the dads have blood on the mind. Not Dean's blood, but blood, bats, and boobs that are always plentiful in Hammer films. That's right, everyone. It is time for our annual Head into Halloween Hammer series because we're no longer halfway. We never really were halfway. Yeah. So we've changed it to Head into Halloween Hammer series. And being a huge Hammer fan himself, as well as a fan of this series that we do, thank you, Dean, we're doing this just for you.
Oh, all right.
Just for you.
No one else likes it. We're
No one else.
sticking around.
I think there's like 2 other people.
Back by popular demand. And by that, we mean Dean.
Just for me.
Dean is here to help us ring in this series with the always enjoyable WTF of Dracula AD, the movie that pits Dracula against his greatest nemesis of all, the 70s. But before we sink our teeth into this film of blood and bell-bottoms, our groovy chef of all things crawling, Brian, has a delicioso appetizer to start us off, too. I'm so hungry, I can't even talk. We need some appetizers, man.
Yeah, well, let's get into it.
Aren't you drinking? I never drink. Why?
So tonight, as Mark said, we'll be looking at Hammer's Dracula AD 1972, a film that brings our favorite vampire 100 years into the future where he now stalks his prey in modern-day London. In light of that fact, we geeky dads thought it would be fun to take a look at some of our favorite stories where the hero or villain gets displaced in time.
This is going to be good. Who wants to start? Guess first.
I started last week. Why don't we go with Dean?
All right.
I've got a few backups, but I figured this would be...
You could always Brian it and just be like, I could go with this.
Backdoor all of your choices in.
At the end, we'll throw in the other ones. I'm going to go with Ash in Army of Darkness.
Good pick.
That was the one that I thought of, like, main character in completely out of time, whole movie.
And I'm done. No, I didn't have that one, but that was a runner-up.
Medieval Dead. So
nice. That is a good one.
Right, cool. I'm going to go with Jason X. Jason Voorhees in the future.
That was one of my backups.
In the future. See Jason Voorhees in the future. You get Uber Jason. You get people not knowing what a hockey mask is or what a machete is. In the future, everybody's really dumb.
The cryogenic
Yes.
kills.
I don't know how yeah. Great kills. This movie is so out there. You cannot help but love this movie. You can't. It's impossible. It's like that one friend who's really annoying, but you have him around because he's full. Why are you all looking at me? What is it? So that is mine. Jason Voorhees.
Now, see, I thought that one wasn't very universally loved. No pun intended.
I think it's getting...
I get it.
It's
got a
universe.
now, I think,
right? Yeah.
Because I love it.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I showed my girlfriend.
That's one that I've never seen.
Well, so grab hold to your socks and hold on, because I know what we're watching after.
Oh, my stars and garters.
It's thoroughly entertaining.
Yeah.
All right then.
It's
See, I always thought that
blast.
when they brought the hero into space, that was it.
Jumping the shark?
Jumping the
Well,
shark.
Let me tell you something. You bring Jason anywhere, he's gonna have a following.
So this is no Leprechaun 4, is what you're telling me.
Well, a few things are. thank the Lord. Next.
I am going to bring it back a little bit family oriented. This wasn't originally going to be my pick, but Jason X was up there. Oliver and Company. Oliver and Company takes the Oliver twist, whatever age you want to call that original one from in London,
From Edwardian or Victorian age,
and brings it to New York City in the 80s, and it was great with animals.
Billy Joel songs.
Billy Joel. It was like Bette Midler, the Pointer Sisters, or one of the Pointer Sisters.
The guy from Empty Nest, Cheech Marin.
Yep, Cheech
That's
Marin.
a great movie.
It is a great movie.
I have not
And
seen
I don't
that
think
movie in
I
years.
haven't
it's just
either.
not like it's not one of those movies that like a lot of people know, and like that and.
Was that a Disney movie? Or was that a
It
Tom
was.
Bluth
No,
movie?
it's a Walt Disney movie.
Was
definitely
it?
Disney.
That and The Great Mouse Detective. Those two movies get forgotten so often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth watching. It is on Disney Plus. Great music. And it's a good story. The story of Oliver Twist.
That's a great pick. Very
Thank
original.
you.
I like
Thank
that.
you.
Nice.
How about you, Brian?
I'm going with. Hold on. I'm going with John Leslie Stevenson, a.k.a. Jack the Ripper, going forward in time in the movie Time After Time,
Should have known.
where he's chased by H.G. Wells in the Nicholas Myers 1979 movie Time After Time.
Nice.
Well, I can't fault you for that. That is a great
I love that movie.
That was
Rest
one of my
in
two
peace,
runners.
David.
Yep. I absolutely love that movie.
That is a good one. And
Yep.
you introduced me to that movie.
I did a few
And
years
that-
ago.
yep.
I'm surprised you had never heard of it.
Nope.
And, yeah.
But
Then
I
we
love
sat
it.
down and watched it, and now you're a fan.
No. David Warner, right, like I
Yeah.
said, rest in peace, David Warner. He's
Yep.
awesome in everything.
Written and directed by Nicholas Myers, who wrote and directed Star Trek II: Wrath of
The
Khan.
good Star Trek
and
movies.
The Undiscovered Country, and all the good Star Treks.
I mean, and you got to mention Dracula, because Dracula's been
Yeah.
modernized
He has
a few times.
yeah, and
Yep.
not just in the movie we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, but the Dracula 2000.
Dracula
Half the
3000.
cast of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I had
The Dracula BBC show was current day, right?
Yeah.
That was modern
Yep.
day. And
Yeah, the one with what was his name? Clay's Bang, something like that. Clay's Bang. I'm serious.
I know it's such a fun name.
It really
I
is.
just can't help but
Yeah.
smirk.
Yeah.
Bet he does. I bet he does.
I bet he did.
My runner-up was Galactica 1980,
Oh, cool.
which the cast of Battlestar Galactica goes to the 80s and meets Wolfman Jack. In the first
Oh, that's cool.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
That's very cool. I'm surprised nobody picked Demolition Man. Sylvester Stallone going
that's a
forward
good
in
one.
time.
Oh, that's a
Time
great
one.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't even think about
See, I
that.
kept thinking of modern retellings.
Would Frankenstein Unbound count?
They
Didn't
brought
that-
Frankenstein
that-
into the
Did
modern
that not
age a
have
lot.
some sort of like, or was that somebody time traveling back? I think that was somebody trying.
Well, what's the one
John
with,
Hurt time traveling or
The
something?
Punisher.
That's Frankenstein
was it
Unbound, wasn't it?
Thomas Jane
Oh, no,
or-
I Frankenstein.
Yeah.
That was I
Oh,
Frankenstein.
okay.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
And
That
one's-
was good.
Yeah, that one's a modern.
Yeah. Retelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was pretty good.
All right. Good appetizers, everybody.
Good picks.
Shall we move on
We shall.
to the main
Let's go
course?
eat
I've said all I
Hans.
need to say. We are getting into Dracula AD. We are launching one of our favorite series
Dracula
here.
AD 1972.
That's right. I should say the whole thing.
the full
Starring
thing, yeah.
Peter Cushing and
He was
Christopher
a
Lee.
wonderful Van Helsing.
And a bunch of awkward, quote unquote, teenagers. My God. Strange looking hippies. Weird music.
But you know what? I looked at it, true to the 70s. Everybody looked 10 or more years older than they actually
Oh, they
were.
sure
All that
did.
smoking.
Carolyn Monroe,
Yep.
Stephanie Beacham, they were all in their mid to early 20s. And they looked like they were in their 30s.
All right.
They really did.
Shall we get on to it? Our main course then?
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, lock your doors, bolt your windows, and show your boobs. Not us. We're not going to do that.
Ew.
Because it is hammer time.
Transylvania, land of dark forests, dread mountains, and black, unfathomed lakes.
Isn't the thing that's dead supposed to be dead for all time? Yet we brought it back to life.
Gentlemen, no ordinary wolf who has done this thing.
What are you afraid of?
I'll tell you what I'm afraid of. the 70s, man.
Oh, I thought you were still thinking about us showing our boobs.
Well, that's nothing I haven't seen before.
Another day at the pool.
Quick shout out to Jason Pritchard for putting that intro together. He did that a few years ago, and he puts all our intros together, and he is a master at his craft. So thank you, Jason Pritchard.
He'll be joining us maybe this year.
Yeah, I hope so for something. If not this, we only have 3 of these going this year. We're lightening the hammer load a bit upon request of.
There's only so many Hammer movies, and we want to keep this going for as long as we can.
Forever.
So, Dracula AD, opening thoughts. Who would like to begin?
I want to start. All
right.
No,
come
because I feel like everybody looks down at this movie, and I actually enjoyed it. This is one. I mean, it's silly, but it's fun, and I'm a big fan of that era, like the 60s mod to the early 70s in London. So like those
baby,
those crazy kids, they made me laugh. They entertained me.
Even the guy that was dressed as a monk?
No, not him.
Well, I always think that. I mean, not like I wasn't around at that point. I was only 2 in 1972, but there was also I'm spacing on his name now. The character on Mork and Mindy that always wore a monk's robe.
Jesus, I don't remember him.
The upstairs neighbor, or like he.
I do remember that guy now.
And they were like, this was a thing in the 70s that people just went around in monk's robes. Yeah. I don't remember it personally.
That's why nobody gave Spock a second glance in the voyage home. It's his thing.
That's true. Yeah.
It's his way.
But that character is so typical of that kind of stock anti-establishment. Everything that he says is crazy nonsense because nonsense goes against the system.
Man.
Yeah, can we jump into the opening scene?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Wait, hold on. Let's finish opening thoughts because we're going to go through the whole movie.
Yeah.
But since you're going, why don't you give us the rest of it?
So I love Hammer movies, and I love Hammer Dracula movies. This is my least favorite of all the Hammer vampire movies. That being said, it's still a Hammer Dracula movie.
So you prefer this? You prefer Satanic Rites over this one?
I think there's more going on. Satanic Rites is a little, and honestly, I'd have to watch Satanic Rites right again at the same time to decide which one.
Yeah.
But Satanic Rites has more bonkers stuff going.
It really does.
You are the 4 horsemen of my own created apocalypse. Like, it is just crazy. And there's also more interaction between the characters and the vampires. Like, it's like, oh, that was my daughter. Like, which doesn't happen as much in this.
There really
isn't.
And
I think that's why this one becomes my least favorite. Because it's almost like the story is too linear.
Yeah.
Like, there's not.
Yeah.
When someone turns into a vampire, you get very little of, oh no, I have to try and stop them from becoming a vampire. It's like, oh, well, he's a vampire. So,
oh bother.
It doesn't have that kind of driven story in it. That being said, there's a lot of funky stuff in this
there really is
that I enjoy too.
And that's I think what gives it its charm. It's just a product of its age.
Yeah.
And I like it too, Derek, for the same reason. I really like that era, the early 70s to late 60s, the summer of love, and they're trying to keep that summer going for as long as they can. They're going to ride that into the ground.
Just like this Hammer series.
Exactly. I like it. I don't know. I don't know if I like this one better than Satanic Rites or not. After just listening to what you were saying, Dean, I'm not sure. I had some problems with this one, but I think you're right. I think more does go on in Satanic Rites, and I'll have to give that one a second look. I just remember that Satanic Rites had like those goofy guys in the fur-lined vests riding the motorcycles all over the place, and that's really the only thing that sticks out in my mind. But this one had some great moments too. Just the kids looking for the next kick. You know, it's like, oh, we've already done the drugs. We've already done, we've already had sex with each other. What's next on the list? Oh, all right, Satanism. Yeah, no, it's a cool movie. It's a cool movie. I like how they bring it into the future. I like the fact that Van Helsing's descendant is now working with Scotland Yard to figure out what's going on. I would like to see a TV series all about that.
Yeah,
it's like kind of like the British X-Files. You've got Van Helsing's descendant, working with the police to track down modern day vampires. That would be a great show. I would watch the hell out of that. But it was a good movie. It was not my definitely. Yeah, I would buy that for $1. It's not my favorite of the Hammer Dracula movies by far. But for what it was entertaining.
Yeah, I agree with all three of you. Very entertaining. I thought you didn't
like this one.
Huh?
I thought you didn't like this one.
It grows on me each time I see it. I used to watch it because it was bad. But the more I watch it, the more I just gain more love for it. It's like, okay, this is very entertaining. I've gone back and I've watched this more times than, half of the quote-unquote good movies out there. So there's got to be something that's drawing me back to this. And I think it's just the silliness, It's just this, like, very lighthearted acid trip. It's an acid trip.
It really is.
It's just a lot of, like... I watched it with my wife, who had seen it once before a long time ago, didn't remember it. It was fun watching it with her because the whole time she's digging it. First of all, she really liked it, which I was shocked at. But she really embraced the goofiness of the movie. It's just a lot of fun to watch with people. So, still not as good as the other Dracula films. Not a great Hammer movie by far.
No.
It doesn't have, a lot of the traditional stuff that I love in a Hammer movie. But it's got enough to keep me. It's Christopher Lee. It's Peter Cushing. That's all really you need to make these movies watchable. Right? Doesn't really matter where you set them as long as they're alive, first of all, and they're facing off against one another. I think it's great. It reminds me of Karloff and Lugosi. Did not matter what Universal movie those two were in together. They were always enemies, and the movie could have been shit, but they made it watchable. Yeah. And it got me thinking, as watching this again, I don't know if we have that anymore. I don't think we have, like, really any on-screen, like, fake rivalries between two actors getting together and having that.
I hate to say it, but The Rock and Kevin Hart.
But they're friends for the most part.
No, but they play. No, they play it off, and even off screen, they play it off like they secretly don't like each other.
Oh, no kidding.
It's like a big running joke. Like people think that maybe they don't really like each other, and that's all a show. But they're always in movies giving each other shit, like. Well, picking on each other and stuff.
There you go. I guess we have one.
So
we've got the Rock Kevin Hart Dracula movie.
Yeah. Which I would easily
watch the hell out of that.
I too would buy that for maybe 50 cents.
I think it says something too about this movie that when we first it came up as a suggestion to do, like we all smiled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all like kind of.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. So it's like, I think when you have that reaction, you got something.
Yeah. If you go back and listen to our old Hammer episodes, I'm pretty sure I was originally going to plan to make this a drink till it's good.
Yeah.
But it's good. You don't have to drink to it. I wasn't drinking last night. Neither was, Sarah might have been. I don't know. But she was sober enough to appreciate it. It wasn't like her having to drink to get through half the movies that I make her watch.
The problem is it has 7 other movies to compare it to at a minimum, because there's other great Hammer vampire movies,
right?
That
like Kiss of the Vampire,
Vampire Lovers, and the
Karstein.
Exactly, any of the Karstein ones,
and Carnival.
Vampire Circus.
Oh, that's right.
I love that movie,
which is wonderful.
That was a good one.
I think that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I like that one too.
And so when you compare it to some of those, story-wise, it doesn't hold up, but there is so much just 70s weirdness like that,
there's an appeal
that has that, the old Trip movies feel to it, that even some Clockwork Orange in there.
Johnny Alucard is like a Target version Malcolm McDowell in it. He doesn't look like Malcolm McDowell, but he looks like Alex somehow.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah,
I see it.
I don't know. It feels like
when he's wearing that the crushed velvet suit that he had on at the beginning with the ruffled shirt, It's like when Alex was, cruising the shops there. You know, when he picked up those two girls at the record store. You know,
even when he's leaving the party and he's fooling around with the little porcelain
statue, and the woman doesn't know.
That reminded me of Alex with the big porcelain penis in Clockwork Orange.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of porcelain, let's get to the opening of this movie, because the opening in itself is a trip. This is like this is an entire performance from what is the name of the band?
The Stone Ground.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
The band.
I almost forgot about the music. Like how?
Yeah, and they have actually almost 2 songs they do in their entirety too.
Alligator
you know what it reminds me of?
Alligator.
What was that movie we watched? The Vincent Price movie.
Monster Club.
Monster Party.
The Monster Party.
Yeah, where it was like
the Monster Club.
It's the Monster
Club.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was like basically you got a few full songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Monster Club was 80s. That was Amicus that put that one out.
That's
and
right,
they did actually, they were kind of, this was to the 70s what that one was to the 80s, where they had like, although they had like Oingo Boingo in Monster Club. They had like some bigger names, but they also had those like interludes of full songs.
Just weird,
like,
out of nowhere.
The kids are gonna love this. I'm a giant Monster Club fan.
Yeah,
that is a great
It
movie.
is fun.
That is a lot. I love that one.
The whole breakdown of what like
the
ghouls versus the.
For San Diego Comic-Con a couple of years ago, they released that old print ad.
Oh, you said that, yeah.
And they redid that. And it was the print was like $70, and so I've still
worth it.
That's cool.
At Super Mega Fest, one of the dealers there had one of the original of that sheet, and I really wanted.
I wanted to be in the writers' room when they were coming up with all that, man. Mm-hmm. The amount of drugs, and the amount of drugs in this too. This whole movie. So they
didn't show. That's the thing. They didn't show them taking any drug. They didn't even show them like smoking a joint.
But they
all looked high 24/7.
Well, except the couple making out under the table.
How do you know?
The whole time.
Yeah. They were probably on ecstasy.
Did that exist back then?
What was the 1972 version of ecstasy?
I didn't drop acid. I remember what's her name, Jessica Van Helsing.
I don't drop acid.
I don't drop acid.
Yeah.
And I
don't smoke pot, and I'm not technically sleeping with anyone. Momentarily.
Yet.
That actress, by the way, fun fact, Star Trek fans, Star Trek The Next Generation fans, I just realized was Countess Regina Moriarty's lover in that episode of Star Trek The Next Generation when hologram.
Stephanie Beacham?
Yeah.
Really?
Remember? Remember when Moriarty returns from his? Do you know the episode?
Yeah. Where Data is
Sherlock Holmes. Well, he comes back in another episode because he's accidentally released by Barclay, and he has a lady friend with her, and the lady is the Countess.
Big Bird's dog.
Yeah,
releases him.
Barclay, come on, Barclay.
Stephanie Beacham was one of those actresses that you always knew her name, and was never quite sure what
she was on Dynasty. Yeah,
I never knew her name, but I knew her face.
Yeah,
that's Sequest also.
Really?
She was on Sequest?
Oh my gosh!
I remember Sequest.
According to IMDb.
So there's this big bash going on right now in this very rich house, and the owner of the house, or rather the parents' son, I guess, invited a band over and wanted to have a rock band, but have it be formal for whatever reason. He's dressed up in a tux. His parents are all dressed up in this elegant, like, formal wear. And because the band shows up, and they look like they just walked in right off the street.
Like the band had groupies, and
these
were the
groupies, and the groupies had groupies, and there's friends. And
I didn't invite them. I only invited the Stone Ground.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is weird, because that doesn't seem like a band that guy would listen to.
Or that you would have at a party with all those stodgy old crones, you know?
It is like when a band comes on a sitcom and like, oh my God, look who just walked in. It's the Stone Roses.
Exactly. What is this, laughing?
Exactly.
Or the young ones would do that all the time.
That's right. Yeah. The young ones.
Look who's playing in our living room. It's the Damned.
But what was he expecting? Did he not know the band? Did he mistaken it for something else? Did he
exactly?
Did he think he was inviting like a cappella group?
for like, oh, I would like to hear your new album. Could you do it? Like,
did he have a couple of girls over hoping it would get him laid?
Maybe.
He didn't look like he wanted that either.
No,
he didn't own an 8-track player.
No, he didn't.
So
no,
he just had to invite the band.
The mother and son relationship between the two of them. There's a clothespin on that boy's penis. I mean, something's going on there. You know, he's dressed up like what's his name in Night of the Living Dead, Johnny.
He reminded me of Brad from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes,
he really did.
Absolutely, you're right. He did. And the mom is, oh, these hooligans, you know.
Well, that was the funniest part about that whole scene is that like the party is still there. All these tidy people are there, and they're all they do is just look mortified.
Yeah.
No one does anything about it.
Exactly.
No one tries to pull any plugs or like.
Excuse me, get out. They're just sitting there in awe of all these disgusting hippie kids sitting around or dancing or making out or whatever, and they're just sitting off in a corner like, well, we, like you said, we could do something about this.
Well, we're not going to.
Well, I got my best gown on. I don't want any hippie grease on my...
Gerald, do something.
I mean, not even the filmmakers thought of pulling the plug early on this one. That scene was like 15 minutes long.
That's half the movie.
Literally just the band playing and then going, oh my. Someone should make them stop. And then they're like, well, we've called the police, but they'll be here in 6 minutes. So we're going to wait the full 6 minutes before we escape.
Then they had like the bass player that looked like Derek Smalls in a painter's hat.
He really did. Oh my God. What an unappealing band.
Seriously.
Like, even for
and there was about 18 people in this goddamn band.
It was like the polyphonic scream.
When they split the bill at the end of the night, what do they all get 50 cents?
I was also curious about how the band felt about the antics going on around them. Because they kept having the looks of like
we're trying to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at them shoving it to the man.
And to each other.
There was about how many? 9 of them, and when the chorus kicked in, it sounded like there were like at least 20 of them.
Oh yeah,
there's like three. It
was like a gospel choir.
Women. Yeah, exactly. There's a whole choir, but only 3 women singing back. I don't know. The magic of movies, I guess.
The whole commune is part of the band.
Yeah.
Now, see if they were vampires, and they ended up being. See, that would be cool. A vampire band head by Dracula. Because they talked throughout the film about...
They did that in Queen of the Damned.
Oh, they did?
It's the little stat.
Well, from Dusk Till Dawn, too, right? The band ended up being vampires.
Yeah, that's right.
Now let's kill that fucking band.
So it says that the Stone Ground was a replacement because they originally wanted the band The Faces.
Oh, that's much better.
Which was Rod Stewart's and Ronnie Wood's band.
Oh, really?
They couldn't get him, I guess. So they got the Stone Ground.
Well, listen.
Rod Stewart, too good for him. Whatever, Rod.
Yeah. He did that Three Musketeers video. Come on. I can't remember. I had a friend who called that video the Battle of the Neck Chords. Because when Sting, Bryan Adams, and Rod Stewart are singing the main chorus to One for All, their neck cords are protruding like
like they're going to Hulk out.
Pop out. And they're all trying to Hulk one another out or whatever. But that's neither here nor there nor anywhere. So yeah, again, much like we're talking about the scene, it keeps going on. We do meet the main group of kids.
Did anybody see the movie Beyond the Valley of the Dolls?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, did that not remind you of that scene? Like, that whole opening scene from this movie remind you of, like, a lot of the scenes from that movie? Where they're, like, all just a party and people are like, oh, what a gas, man.
It's been 30 years since I've seen it.
Oh, my God.
So many movies of that.
Late
60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
You know, the Trip or some of the more trippy Roger Corman ones. The anti-establishment.
Wasn't that written by Roger Ebert?
It was written by Roger Ebert.
And he criticized the movies. That's funny.
Yeah. See if you can do any better, Roger.
He doesn't do it anymore, Mark.
No, thank God. I mean, I'm sorry. I really hate that guy. I don't speak for all the dads, I guess, but it was awful. 4 stars for Garfield, 2 stars for fucking Dead Poets Society. What the hell is the matter with you? What's wrong with you? No wonder you died.
Oh, Jesus.
For Christ's sake.
Sorry. What are we talking about? Dracula. I went off and everything kind of turned white.
Yeah,
What a Wilford Brimley diabetes.
Larry, the cheese.
I smell burning.
Does anyone else smell toast?
I taste metal. All right. Again, so You got this main bunch of people sitting on the couch. All this brouhaha is going on around them, and heading the group is Jessica Van Helsing. Her very off-putting boyfriend, who looks like my former driving instructor when I went for driver's ed as a teenager. He looks like that guy, Mr. Lundgren. Do you know Mr. Lundgren?
Yeah.
Looks just like him.
Looks like Johnny Alucard?
No, looks like
the other guy.
What's his name?
That's right.
Paul. It had to be Paul.
It had to
right?
have been a Paul.
'Cause there's always a Paul in a Dracula movie.
Paul.
Paul.
Oh my God, he does.
Right?
I didn't even.
To all our Bridgewater listeners out there, you know who you are. You know who Mr. Lundgren is. Go see Dracula AD 1972. You know what I'm talking about. And they're talking about, they're bored. They've taken the drugs. They've done the dancing. They're bored. They've crashed this person's party, and they're actually doing okay. They're just sitting around, and they need something to do. And one of their friends, a creepy looking fellow by the name of Johnny Alucard.
Plot point.
Alucard.
Plot point.
Alucard.
Plot
Sounds
point. Plot point.
familiar.
I wish I had a piece of paper to map out those letters.
I bet it's an anagram of something.
And Sean still solves it quicker in Monster Squad.
He did.
Yeah. But we'll get to that. So Johnny Alucard, it's Dracula backwards, by the way, if you guys are scratching your head wondering what we're talking about, says, well, I know what we can do. Let's perform some Satanism. Satanism's really big. Mia Farrow's doing it right now.
Satan is good.
Satan
is our pal.
He's
Satan
fun.
is good.
He's groovy.
Satan is our pal.
Let's go to an old church and let's summon him. And they say, okay, that sounds awesome because this party's pretty lame, which they do. So they go to an old church.
What do they expect hanging out with a bunch of 80-year-olds?
Yeah, well, that's true. How did they know that?
Right? So many questions.
Yeah.
They just wanted to see the stone ground.
That's what it's all about.
No, that's the thing is they wanted to see the faces, but the stone ground showed up.
Who the hell is this?
Oh, man, no one told me there was going to be an opener.
This is no Rod Stewart.
Alligator Man. What the hell is this bullshit? I want
He
the
was
faces.
the worst superhero ever.
Alligator Man. That's Tito's nickname. That's what I'm going to call him because he loves alligators so much. And
I'm your Tito now.
Wait, do you like alligator?
I actually haven't seen it.
Oh, fucking A, Dean. What's the matter with all of you? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Alligator Man. We're talking about Dracula. So they're at the church. Johnny Alucard's performing this weird
Satanic rite.
Satanic rite. Actually, let me backtrack because before we get to the party, we should note the movie actually opens up with the last battle of Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Which is in your traditional Hammer setting.
Yep.
They both die. They both kill one another. Of course.
With a wagon wheel.
With a wagon wheel.
A wagon wheel. Anybody from the 70s knows that reference. It's time for timer.
Dracula was hankering for a hunk of cheese.
Which we should point out, first Van Helsing Dracula battle since the first Horror of Dracula. The Hammer series.
Yeah.
They worked
Right,
together.
that's true. Jesus,
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Van Helsing had Brides of Dracula,
Yep.
which Christopher Lee was not in.
Yep. And then Christopher Lee came back, but there was no Van Helsing in any of them until this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, thinking about, like, oh, that was the first time we've had them
That didn't even
together.
dawn on me.
Yep.
Well pointed out. And it's a good scene.
So this was like Halloween, where they just cut out all the other sequels. And they were like,
None of those matter.
none of that happened.
Yeah. Forget about all that.
Now it's
Picking
in
it up.
72.
You remember
Nothing.
So that they do kill one another via wagon wheel, which is hysterical. And then we get to the party. And then we get to
Johnny Alucard's ancestor,
That's
who
right.
scoops up Dracula's remains and buries Dracula's remains outside of the churchyard that Van Helsing is buried in.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
And marks it with like a little wooden stake that
Right.
he hopes is going to be there in 100 years.
Yeah.
And
No one
Van
ever
Hel-
thought to ever
I
be
know.
built around it. Like,
Exactly.
hey.
And Van Helsing's name, I never realized in Horror of
Was
Dracula.
Lawrence.
Lawrence Van Helsing.
Yeah, it wasn't Abraham.
Yeah, it was Larry.
Larry
Van Helsing.
Which in Horror of Dracula, again, I think I picked this up from Wikipedia, not from my own personal knowledge, that they don't use a first name for him in Horror of Dracula, but an initial, which is not L. I think it's J Van Helsing.
Yeah.
You might be right, yeah.
Josiah.
Jebediah Van Helsing.
Jenny.
Jenny Van Helsing.
Jenny. Jill.
Johnny 5 Van Helsing. So, yeah, the ancestor of Johnny Alucard does pick up the ring, and he does place the stake, and he's like, well, as long as nobody knocks this over, my descendant will come and
As long as they don't build a Circle K someday.
Yeah.
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
So time marches on as it does. We are in the 70s. That's when the party happens, and that's when they're at the church, which is built around where Dracula and Van Helsing are buried, and the descendant of Johnny Alucard, who is also Johnny Alucard, performs this ritual. And all his friends are gathered around a little kumbaya circle. They're all swaying back and forth, and it looks like the start of a promising orgy, which, given Carolyn Monroe's in it, I would totally be down with.
Yeah, and Stephanie Beacham.
And Stephanie, who... What's her last
Beacham.
name? Beacham. Thank you. Glad to Beacham. Okay. Little mystery science there. But they're all swaying back and forth. Jessica Van Helsing and I just want to keep calling him teenage Mr. Lundgren, but that's terrible. Her boyfriend.
Was it Greg?
Greg. Is it Greg or Paul?
Was it Greg? No, there's no Paul in the cast. Is it Greg?
I think Lundgren's name was Paul, wasn't it?
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
I think that's, yeah. Just call him Paul. He's Paul now.
It's got to be Greg.
Greg. Tito, where are you? Oh, yeah, you're with the
I think it's Greg.
All right, we're going to go with Greg. If any of you have a problem, please write in and blame Brian. I don't know. So, yeah, her and Greg do a little bit of kissing, and Johnny's really getting off on this. He starts talking about, hey, change, lose yourself. And I'm laughing my fucking ass off at this delivery.
Did anybody else start laughing when he started yelling, yes, let it go, let it go.
Don't hold it back anymore.
He did. He totally did.
I mean, the actor is really chewing up this scenery. He's really good. He's a very menacing-looking vampire, a menacing villain. And not bad.
Christopher Neame.
Neame.
Yep.
That was a great last name.
Yeah.
So, no, I actually think that it was, it's not Greg. Greg is the guy in the monk's room.
Oh, he's
really?
the monk.
Well, then who is it? Because he's not listed here.
So, no, it's Bob.
Philip Miller all the way down there?
But
he was very unappealing.
Miller,
I guess so.
Who I've just discovered looking at the IMDb for him, he's the Star Destroyer captain.
Get the fuck out
in
of here.
Empire Strikes Back.
What? Let me see that.
I think he's the one who's like, bounty hunters, we don't need their
scum.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's him.
Yeah, that is him, isn't it?
Oh, my God. Wow. You're hearing this first, folks. I am
battled Dracula
surprised.
and Bosk.
And he sucked at both of them. All right, good. Well, see, you learn something new every time. Anyway,
you're a better Tito than Tito.
I am the new Tito.
Tito Point. I don't know. What's a good number? Tito Point 2.0, yeah.
Redux.
No, I'm sorry. Tito and I share a love of Vanilla Ice and Cool as Ice, so that can't be replaced. I'm sorry, Dean.
And John Leguizamo.
And no, he likes Johnny Legs.
I know. I'm the
you
one
like
that
Johnny Legs,
that love.
yeah. Yeah, and I still say Craig Robinson needs help. So although that movie Bad Guys was awesome. Anyway, we're going way off track here. So
back to the orgy.
Back to the orgy. That doesn't happen. Eventually, one of the girls, Carolyn Monroe, because the whole point of doing this ritual, Johnny wants to get Jessica to perform the ritual to bring Dracula back, but she gets scared, runs off, or rather, Carolyn Monroe gets up first and says, "No, I'm sluttier. Let me do it," or whatever, and she ends up being the sacrifice, pretty much, the blood sacrifice that. After all the other teenagers just scamper away, Dracula does in fact rise again, and Johnny Alucard is now his servant. And from then on, we move to two kids discovering Carolyn Monroe's dead body.
Yep.
That's the thing about this movie. Van Helsing's concern throughout this film is Dracula infecting and turning everybody into a vampire. He only does this twice. Everybody else he kills. I don't know if he's purposely doing it to gain more power, because he doesn't really start turning people into vampires until the second half of the movie.
Yeah.
Everybody else is
because he's been
completely
dead, so he needs to replenish and get back to full strength.
He's got to kick it up a notch, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's been how many...
Bam.
Yeah.
And his whole deal is he wants to get revenge on Van Helsing.
Yeah,
so he's
that's
pretty much like, there's only one lady I want, and it's Jessica Van Helsing. The rest of them, they're just blood bags.
I like that voice. That's
my
a great
Dracula
voice.
voice,
That's
yeah.
a great... There's only one I want. It's like Randy
I'm
Macho Man
Christopher
Sam.
Lee.
Let's get it done. So we're,
Get it on.
right you are, Ken. Right you are, Dracula.
Dracula AD, Oklahoma.
See, this movie's great. What the hell happens now? So, we finally... Jessica arrives home, and we see that her grandfather is Van Helsing, a descendant of Larry Van Helsing. This is Mo or Curly Van Helsing. Curly Van Helsing, one of the Van Helsing. Shemp
Van Helsing.
Shemp Van Helsing.
He's actually Lorimer.
Okay.
Lorimer.
I prefer Shemp. Thank you. Shemp Van. What do you say?
I know.
Let's just call him Van Helsing.
All right, we'll call him Van Helsing because that's basically.
Hey, VH.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to skip too much, but this is what starts the investigation. The police, get involved and they start working with Van Helsing, trying to figure out who murdered who. In the meantime, Johnny Alucard's bringing his friends to Dracula to get killed. And one by one they go, and Jessica's wondering what's going on.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend,
because they all meet at the coffee bar that they all hang out at, the Cavern Club, which
is now a hookah bar.
Yeah, and they start asking what happened to Carolyn Monroe's character, and Johnny Alucard says, "Oh, I took her to the train station to wherever town she comes from," and they're all like, "Well, no, didn't she say she lived here, not there?" No, you're all crazy. He tries to gaslight them all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you fell for all that.
Yeah.
Huh? You thought I was serious?
Yeah.
When I was talking like this.
It was all sounds in a tape recorder, man.
Man. Oh, I love when they throw in man. Because they are way older than they are supposed to be. And having them, it's just like watching like my parents trying to use the word awesome, or he never would. But if my father said cowabunga or something, like that's out of left field.
Your dad says that whatever your mom cooked last night was straight fired.
So another fun fact on this one.
That meal slapped.
We get introduced to Michael Coles as Inspector Murray, who is the only person other than Christopher Lee and
Peter
Cushing in their respective characters to play the same character in multiple Hammer Dracula.
Because he shows up in Satanic Rites.
That's the same character.
Yeah, which was directed by the same director, which is probably why he's
back.
He probably used him again.
Yeah, he liked working with him.
Yeah,
I like when directors do that. He was the Scorsese
to
his sister. De Niro to his Scorsese.
Could have been a Spielberg thing.
Don't. Oh God, no, no, please. Don't
I heard you guys talking about it.
We sure did.
Lady only in a movie because she helped me direct.
Oh God. Anyhow, Willie. I'm off track now because I'm thinking of Willie. And, yeah, I know.
That can be taken wrong in a British film.
Phrasing.
He's all distracted. He's all flush.
No, they call it a John Thomas. I've seen Monty Python.
Free Willy takes on a whole other meaning in Britain.
And that Michael Jackson song has different meaning too. Carol, the Michael Jackson Hold Me. Da 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 da. It was
from
for
that
Free
movie.
Willy.
Oh.
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
You uncultured pips. Anyway, learn your Willy.
Pips.
He's
not
a pimp.
pimps. Pips.
Yeah, so Johnny Alucard does gaslight everybody. He apologizes to Jess. Oh, I'm sorry I scared you. I have 2 tickets to a jazz club. You and your pasty boyfriend go. It's on me. And Jessica says, no, I can't, because the boyfriend, whatever the hell his name is, Admiral Fiat, says, we're going to the Peaches. We're going to go to the Peaches. Jess, you want to go to the Peaches? Time this guy opens his mouth, speaking of Kate Capshaw, I just want to block my ears. Jess, you want to go to the Peaches, Jess? What do you find appealing of this man? Like, that's how he sounds when in the sack,
Derek,
right?
you're as red as your shirt.
His John Thomas is pretty
John,
good.
Jess, go to the Peaches, show you me John Thomas, Jess.
He's got some French ticklers.
That woman heard that voice and said, yep,
He's
that's
going to do the
one.
old popcorn trick.
Oh, how'd that get in there?
Got some fish and chips here. There's a big chip right here. No one's listening anymore. It's okay. We're going to go on. So I don't know the actress's name. There's another girl who says, oh, Johnny, I love jazz. I'll go with you. She is actually the first
That's
black woman.
Marcia Hunt.
Marsha Hunt. The first black woman I have ever seen in a Hammer movie.
That's a little
Her character's name is Gaynor.
She likes jazz? Like, jeez.
Well, she does. Stereotypical or not, you got to move the plot
Jazz
along.
is good music.
So she says, Johnny, I'll go with you, and then after I'll go back and be very unappealing with you, which they do. They go to the concert, which we don't see, so we don't get to see any more bands.
Nope.
Which is a shame.
Yeah. No more Alligator Man.
Because this movie really needed a jazz band.
Oh, that would be great.
On that note, the soundtrack is incredible. I should say the score.
It is good.
Incredibly redundant, though. They use the same.
Yep.
What was it? Jen compared it to either Madhouse. No, what are the Vincent Price ones?
Madhouse?
Scream and Scream Again. Yeah, is that what? No.
That's Blackula. Scream and Scream Again. Isn't that a Blackula movie?
No,
that's Scream, Blackula, Scream. I'm sorry. No.
Scream and Scream Again.
Yeah, you might be right, Dean.
We'll go with that.
Similar, like 70s.
Yeah.
Wah-wah sound.
Oh, yeah. No, it was all over, like, any...
Like,
Isaac Hayes.
Yeah, like any cop procedural show from that time, Yeah.
But
Mannix.
But they did have those scores in movies like Blackula and Count Yorga and any 70s vampire.
Yeah.
That
this
was
one just kept using the same. It was like the same.
Well, that's all they could afford. It's like
This
get
is true,
a full film score or get the Stones or the Stoners.
The Stone Ground.
The Stone Ground. It's like,
I
you gotta
invited the Stone Ground.
I don't want a film score. We got the Stone
They sent me a
Ground.
patch of dirt.
Says the soundtrack was composed by former Manfred Mann member Mike Vickers.
Oh, wow.
Oh, him, yeah.
Manfred Mann.
Yeah, remember Manfred Mann?
No.
Blinded by the Light?
Nope.
Wrapped up like a
Deuce?
A deuce?
Another Runner in the Night?
Not a douche.
Oh, probably that.
Blinded by the Light.
Oh, yeah. I do know that.
I thought Bruce Springsteen wrote it.
I don't know. I just
I don't
found
think
this
I've
on
ever
there.
heard the actual Bruce Springsteen version.
No, that's the one that's more
I thought he
famous.
wrote it.
I've heard that. You had to sing it for me. That was.
Again, sing it again.
I don't know the words. Yeah. So
Now I gotta look it up.
While you look it up, I'm gonna go on. Johnny Alucard takes this girl back home and kills her and brings her to Dracula. And I believe this is the girl. No. Is there one more girl between her and when Dracula makes Johnny an actual vampire? Christopher Lee turns Johnny into a vampire.
No, because he
Just
kills Carolyn Monroe.
Yeah.
He turns Johnny Alucard. Johnny Alucard brings Marsha Hunt to Dracula.
Okay.
And then sometime after that, Jessica's boyfriend gets turned.
Well, before that,
I don't think there's another girl because there's the only other girl in the group.
Johnny stalks somebody at a laundromat, though. It's an off-screen kill, though.
He might have then. They don't really show it. They do show him like stalking her, but then it's kind of like
I think that was just
left
behind the scenes
ambiguous.
That's what he had.
That actor was a creep.
That's some serious method right there. All right. Well, anyway, to move along. Eventually, the whole thing is Johnny's like, turn me. I've done this for you, master. And finally, Christopher's like, all right, shut up.
He's gone full Guillermo.
Yeah.
Master, I've served you for 10 years.
And then he does turn him, and then the boyfriend. Meanwhile, all this is going on, you do have the plot of Van Helsing trying to figure out from Jessica what's happening and following the case with Inspector
Clouseau.
Gadget, and Inspector
like
guy.
to inspect her gadget.
I can't.
I bet she got it.
Well, what is the name? What is the name of that inspector?
Inspector Murray.
Inspector Murray and Van Helsing are teaming up, following the murders and trying to, they are putting the pieces together. And I believe it is this point where, upon hearing Johnny's last name, Peter Cushing says, "Well, let me get a piece of paper," because I obviously can't just look
in the mirror
right to left or get a mirror. I have to do this. He looks like the Question trying to figure something out. He's got all these like a conspiracy theorist, just all these lines going to this way and that, and it takes him a full 10 minutes until he's
running lab tests.
Taking blood He's got the word Dracula and the word Alucard right underneath it, and drawing a D
to the D
to the D and an L to the L. It is just
the dumbest thing.
Yeah, it really is. I love these movies,
and
but
at
that
one point
moment
you think
is like, oh, Dracula's gonna win this.
At one point you think, like, after all the movies that that Peter Cushing has done for Hammer, he would have been like, "Oh no,
I'm not doing this.
No.
No, he needed the money. It's a
I'm
summer
sure he
house.
did. Yeah.
It's a Michael Caine thing.
Yeah.
So another thing I picked up on the internet was that Peter Cushing was supposed to be the father of the character of Jessica, but that was right after his wife died. And if you know much about Peter Cushing, it was devastating.
Yeah, he went into a deep depression after his wife died.
And he had aged so much physically that they changed it to grandfather.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's what the internet says.
Well, the internet is never wrong, so we're going to go with that. Eventually, God, I can't remember his name. Jess's boyfriend. It's such a forgettable.
Bob. I'll call him Paul.
Bobo.
Rob. The guy from Star Wars there is like, I'm going to go back and see.
The guy from the Star Wars?
He's from the Star Wars.
They're really all from Star Wars.
They are. At one point, they do all end up in Star Wars.
I think even Peter Cushing ended up in Star Wars, didn't he?
Yeah, he played a minor character.
I think so.
Yeah. Droid number 2.
He had a cameo as a stormtrooper, right?
He was Uncle Owen, wasn't he?
like Daniel Craig.
So it's that movie where Grand Moff Tarkin is hunting Count Dooku. And Count Dooku has turned the Imperial Star Destroyer commander into a vampire.
Again,
I'd buy that for $1.
Absolutely. Much better than anything the prequels produced right there. That's where I'm going with that. Count Dooku. Oh, God. That's two things that annoy me. Kate Capshaw and Count Dooku, and we've managed to talk about both. Dooku.
Count Capshaw.
Dracula AD 1972, The Hunt for Dooku.
An American Dooku. American.
It's like drawing a line from
Alligator
the D
Dooku, I'm
to
sorry.
the O.
Hold on now.
Dooku, that's a coup.
Grandpa, you don't see it. I got my nephew here. He's 5. He's figured it out. We have to be sure, my dear. This could say Frankenstein for all I know. So, getting to the climax. The boyfriend does go, and not that climax. Okay. No, that never happens. Jess's boyfriend, Bob the builder, decides he's going to have a talk with Johnny and see what the hell is going on, because he's upset Jess. You've upset Jess greatly, and we were going to go to the pictures. I want to talk to you. And of course, we don't know what happens to him. Cut to Jess going back to the church when we get to the final battle here, and Jess goes, I believe, How does Jess get to that church? I actually don't remember. Forgive me.
Doesn't Bob bring her?
Bob brings her. Bob goes and brings her. That's right. You're right.
Because
He's like,
he picks her up, and that's when
Yeah.
Peter Cushing meets them, and then they go off on their way.
And
That's right.
it is kind of a fun reveal. It is that he's a vampire because you don't know.
No, you don't.
You don't have the suspicion at all outside of like, oh, we have to go find out, this thing.
Yep. And he does reveal he's a vampire, and both he and Johnny corner Jess, and she does manage to get away, and Johnny is following her because Johnny ends up fighting Van Helsing at some point. Or Van Helsing sets a couple of Home Alone traps or some shit like that.
Yeah, he does fight him.
This is where it all gets fuzzy.
It's Johnny with a pain can.
I forget. Oh, no, they go to Johnny's apartment. They track him down to his house.
Okay,
that's right.
Yeah.
And that you guys talked about your favorite vampire tropes.
Yes, where he gets stuck in the water in the shower.
And it's so rarely. It's one of the few movies, and the Hammer ones kind of hit the water thing a few times.
They did, yeah.
But the running water that you know in both kills in this movie, it is like it's a shower. No, this one was the shower kill.
Yeah.
So the shower kill, like it's like he was murdered by a shower, like. And it's great because it is like one of those things that kills vampires, but as you see in this one, not cinematic.
Not cinematic at all.
Really, in the like, oh look at him, he showered to death.
Yep. and
no one should ever be so clean.
And it's the most kind of death. It's like, oh yeah, all right, I guess we can accept that. Just a little bit more dramatic, but okay, I guess it works because the fight, it's a bunch of dancing around pretty much. That music kicks in again, the one score that they have, and then the officers or whatever, Inspector Murray comes in and sees what's going on, and Peter Cushing's like, well, I told you, let's go. Now I gotta go get my granddaughter because she's in the clutches of the Count and Bob the vampire. And
well, there is so Van Helsing gets cut really bad on his arm.
He did,
Well, he's got that knife, yeah.
And the other inspector there,
comes in, just
makes
tears
a
off
tourniquet.
his shirt, and tears off his shirt sleeve, and makes a tourniquet around his arm.
with his own pen. He's like twisting it to make it tighter and tighter with his own pen.
I mean, you're really not supposed to do that.
But I think just a little Bactine will be fine.
It's a flesh wound.
Can't take any chances.
And I was watching it with Jen, and Jen said, like, how did they get, suddenly from here to there? I'm like, no, they actually said they're going to the hospital first. So he's actually like going and getting taken care of. And then later on, they're going back to so they've actually set up a scene that didn't happen where Van Helsing goes and gets his tourniquet.
It's one of those things, though. Now, had they not done that, we would have been like, well, how did he get that? Like, what happened there?
But I love this other inspector with the thick glasses that just comes in and is like,
he's only got like one line in the whole movie, too. I think he says something like, he's very ghoulish.
Yeah, when I first saw him, I went, I screamed.
He's going to be a vampire.
Yeah.
See, I feel like there's an Amicus movie that has him like as death in it.
Yeah,
I'm sure. He's a zombie. He's a monster. He's Lurch. He's something.
Yeah.
He is something, I'm sure.
Yeah. He and Peter Cushing have a contest to see who can out sunken cheek each other.
This one, though, his eyes, man, and he's a very creepy looking individual. But it's the 70s, so and he was probably 21 in this.
He probably was.
So eventually we do come to the big battle. Bob the vampire is killed.
Big surprise.
He's not a very good vampire.
No. Didn't he just die? He got caught in the daylight, right?
He's just Jesus shit. He's down. I was going to go to the pitches.
So no, they don't really
Worst
explain
vampire
why.
ever.
Like, I think Dracula killed him. I think that
really.
Yeah, like, well, they don't. There's no explanation on how he dies. Like he's just lying there on the. So I think Dracula has the like. I don't need you. Like I got the girl. Like
I need that voice, Dean. I need that voice.
No, I don't need you. I'm done. I got Stephanie Beacham.
sound like you're hosting the fucking what's the ride? The wild.
At Disney?
Disney, the Frontierland.
Hold on to your hats and glasses.
What the hell is that called? Thunder Mountain. You sound like you're
Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.
You're giving the rules and regulations for Thunder Mountain. Howdy, folks. It's Dracula.
I'm Dracula.
Remain seated and keep all hands inside the vehicle.
I got myself a Stephanie Beacham here on my table.
We're fixing to have a lot of fun.
And a tasty way to do it.
It's my own idea of Fantasyland.
I was doing Wilford Brimley there. I was trying to do Robert Mitchum for like beef. It's what's for dinner. I wanted to do a Stephanie Beacham. It's what's for dinner. But
Robert Mitchum.
I accidentally did Wilford Brimley.
Dude, Stephanie Beacham in that. She's got her breasts like out to here. It's boobs is what's for dinner in that scene. And they're conveniently placed so the blood can flow between.
It's for the period of Hammer movie.
Yeah.
It's actually very light on sex.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because
all the post 1970 movies, they really amped it up.
Right.
And that was, it was some noticeable cleavage in this scene. Like it is noticeable cleavage.
Yeah. And it's wonderful. It's fine.
But the movie as a whole, I don't think there's any nudity in it.
Not really, no.
When you compare it to the other movies, which I actually think are superior movies, and The Vampire Lovers, which...
And Twins of Evil.
Twins of Evil is a
even Vampire Circus around the same time. Captain Kronos has no nudity in it.
No.
It came out a year before this.
That's Carolyn Monroe. She didn't want to do any nudity. I mean, she had no problem, putting her boobs out there, but she didn't want to be completely nude.
But for how exploitive the Hammer movies were getting for this time,
right?
This was very chaste. Even compared to Satanic Rites of Dracula, which is much less chaste. And much more exploitive.
Yeah. And ironically, they switched Jessica's too, because in that one, Jessica is played by what's her name?
Patsy from
Absolutely Fabulous. Yeah, unfortunately, I would have liked to see more of Beacham in there, Stephanie Beacham.
I actually think she makes a better Jessica.
I agree.
I do. I think that's the one thing that I'll give this one over.
Yeah,
I thought she was pretty. Sarah couldn't get past the mullet. She said no. Her and
she did have the Carol Brady hair.
I was about to say, it's like
she's got that one outfit where she's wearing a blue babushka.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what the hell that is.
She became Amish for an hour.
Yeah, I was only alive in the 70s for 3 years. I grew up in 77, so I don't remember babushkas.
I don't know. I have pictures of me wearing like little lederhosen and knickers.
Wow.
So there was some. Did you never have knickers?
No, I didn't grow up in Germany.
I don't think so.
But
you never got your knickers in a twist?
I never had knickers.
I didn't grow up in Bavaria like you guys did.
Did you have torches?
Carrying giant pretzels? What the?
I guess it was only my family.
Drinking baby formula from a stein?
Had knickers and lederhosen.
I had a bowl cut and a lot of sweater vests that my parents put on me because they wanted me dead in an early age, I guess.
No lederhosen.
No lederhosens. You sure you're not? I know you did Renaissance work.
This was pre-Ren. I'll have to pull out those pictures.
All right, we're going to post these on the website. Yeah. You determine.
Yeah, the Armenian family.
Armenian Oktoberfest is the way. It's the only way to go.
I know a couple of Armenians. I can ask. I can see. I'll ask. So, to conclude the movie, basically, we do get to Van Helsing and Dracula having their final battle. Van Helsing does win. Jessica is free. And that's essentially the movie.
Yeah.
Right there.
One really cool subtle touch they had when Van Helsing is going into the club. Did you notice the Bobby in the dumpster?
No.
No.
There's and you can tell he's Bobby because he's got a little Bobby hat.
Police officer. It's a police officer.
Well, I know that. I'm trying to. Thank you.
You look confused.
No, I was trying to think of.
Not boyfriend Bob.
Yeah, totally different Bob.
The Bobby was looking for Bob.
Yeah, not Bobby, but Bobby. Yeah, I know, sir. I've watched Abbott and Costello meet.
It was a Bobby's body.
Yeah.
Really? Was it ever referenced or
No.
alluded to at
It's
all?
just in, is
and
he
Van
drunk?
Helsing walks right by it.
He's drunk. He was clubbing. He was off duty.
He did it.
Yeah. He
Maybe
was
it was
like, I
like-
missed the stone.
It's like this guy tried to give me a
Stone
parking
ground.
ticket.
I feel like there's a whole other movie that happens in this movie that you
That was
don't
just cut.
get to see.
You could be right.
That they just show these little scenes of like,
Yep.
oh, well, this, there's a story around the actual story.
What about the dead Bobby? No, more Alligator Man. What about the hospital scene? That might tie. No,
Oh,
more
sorry, Stone Drown
Alligator
demands
Man.
another song.
Yeah.
Now,
We don't have time.
For Brides of Dracula, they
Yeah.
did a novelization.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
really?
has
that's
like
cool.
a whole bunch of stuff that was either in like the original treatment of the story or the original screenplay, and it fleshes it all out. Van Helsing's much more of a ladies' man in it too. Like
Really?
it is 100 times better than the movie, which I enjoyed the movie itself.
Oh,
and
yeah.
actually, after reading the novelization, which they've re-released, it makes the movie even better because there's like so much more to it.
What was
And
the one we watched
Cool.
that was?
Dean, Christmas is coming, by the way. So just,
What was the one we watched where like the TV version cut out?
That was Kiss of the Vampire.
Kiss of the Vampire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they had to cut out so much of the blood and violence. They added these whole other scenes
That's
that they
right.
shot
There's that
just for
family.
the TV version of the
Yep.
family.
That's-
and
I
the mother
forgot
was the
about
one
that.
that was
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
sewing up the white costumes
Yep.
that the vampire cult was wearing during their rituals. And I don't know
right.
why the Duke wants all these, but I'm working and working and working.
Then I feel like if there was ever a Dracula AD 1972 novelization, it must be awesome. We can find out like who killed the Bobby, who
the hell was the Bobby?
who killed
Yeah, who
Bob
killed
and
Bob?
the Bobby.
maybe the Bobby killed Bob and Dracula killed the Bobby.
And they both crawled off in two separate directions. The Bobby's, I'm just going to sleep this off in this dumpster.
And ironically, everyone was killed by wagon wheel and or shower.
I like how Johnny Alucard has a picture of Dracula in his house, and Van Helsing has the exact
Same
picture.
one.
Like you bought this ancient Dracula picture at any 5 and dime at the corner store.
Yeah, at Woodcuts R Us.
It's a legacy.
Which is a really cool picture of
It is.
Dracula.
Oh, it is. It's an
Yeah.
awesome picture of Dracula. Yeah, no, this is closing out quickly. This is a great film. The more we talk about it, the more we have fun. It's not a good film. It's a great film, but it's not a well-made film. It's just good fun. It's just just leave your brain at the door. Well, not leave your brain at the door. It's got some clever moments to it. Not many, but you can sit back and just get lost in the world of acid Dracula.
Leave your brain at the door.
Leave your brain-
Peter Cushing figures out the big mystery for you, so you don't have to worry about it.
I will note that this is the first, and I said this to you guys earlier. This is the first Dracula movie I've seen where all the women are dead,
Yep.
and the men are left alive to be the brides, essentially. So some
It was a
some
new
hidden new era, yeah,
Oh,
some hidden
one-
homosexuality.
One
in
more
this
note
film.
on this one. This also has, and so does Satanic Rites. Dracula has some dialogue in it.
Yeah, he does.
That's
Not
right.
a lot.
Yeah, no.
But what he does, it's like straight up Dracula dialogue. Like
Yeah.
he pretty much quotes from the novel.
Yeah.
Yep.
And and it's like, wow, why couldn't they just put more of this?
Yeah.
That was Christopher Lee. He wanted to try to
Yeah.
bring a little bit of the actual novel into each one, even if it was just one line.
Right.
Yeah.
From the actual Bram
Well,
Stoker.
at first, in
story.
any dialogue, Prince of Darkness, he says nothing, and
Yeah.
then each Dracula movie, he has a
Yeah.
little more. Who has done this thing?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Scars of Dracula, he has the blade is very sharp, and
I who have led armies.
Yeah. I like this movie. I think it's a fun movie. Like I said before, not my favorite of the Dracula movies from Hammer, but it's still a fun movie. My only thing is, I would have liked to have seen Dracula do a little bit more of the actual stalking and experiencing 1970s London himself.
that is true.
Because he's pretty much confined to the ruins of that church for the entirety of the movie. And everybody is brought to him, and he just spends his time like just stalking this empty building.
Yeah.
And again, it's a church.
He's
Why is he
redecorating.
there?
It's
Why
a
is he-
fallen church.
All
This
right.
is the satanic
All right.
ritual. That's what I think.
Okay, so that was my thing. It's like it was at one point holy ground. When does it stop becoming holy ground?
I think when
because
someone puts-
Highlanders want to know.
I think the ground is soiled by his remains.
Yeah.
Like that they've
So
desecrated the ground by
Yeah.
burying
But wouldn't it already have to have been like unconsecrated for them to bring his remains there? Otherwise,
no, because it only affects him while he's,
alive,
up and about.
And now that they've had this satanic ritual there, it's no longer considered. All right,
it's kind of like vacuuming
but
the
still,
goodness.
Why did he just hang out there?
I don't think they had these rules in mind when they were made.
I know,
probably
I know,
but that's a good point.
I would have liked to have seen him experience more of 70s London. Than
I'm with you on that.
I agree.
It would have been cool to have him walk around and
like Jack the Ripper did in Time After Time, and saying like, no, seriously, he had a great line.
Yeah.
To go back to like what I had said at the beginning, Jack the Ripper experiencing modern San Francisco, and saying, like, and this is an actual line from the movie where he said, back 90 years ago, I was considered a freak. Now I'm just an amateur.
Yeah.
The world has caught up to me and pretty much surpassed me.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I meant when I was saying it's too linear. Like it is, everyone is just straight up brought to him one after another.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a very lazy Dracula.
Yeah.
He is. And Dracula could have gone out and done the stalking, and he would have done it first before Jack the Ripper.
Well, he's been
Time
dead how many centuries? You're not going to want to get up and
only a
stalk
century.
right away. I get up out of bed. I need like an hour of coffee and sitting before I go off to work. That's just like 24. Well, how long? About 24 hours. No, how many sleep? I don't sleep for 24 hours. What about good?
I don't know. You
good
ghoul,
7
do you?
hours. Yeah, good 7 hours. This is 24 hours.
6 or 7 is
Derek.
what I get.
I get about 6
on a good night.
I'm spacing on which title goes to which movie, but the Dracula movie that came out immediately before this
was Taste the Blood of Dracula.
Yeah,
which
is great.
But also does the same thing pretty much.
It does.
That he does. I mean, there is the rooftop chase in that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. He was in a church in that one too, isn't he?
And it's the same servant bringing him.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and in Scars of Dracula,
Yes.
he pretty much hangs out in the castle and waits for people to come to him as well. His bats go into a church and defile it,
which is great.
Which is a great scene.
Yeah,
Scars
that
of
is a great
Dracula
scene.
remains probably one of my favorite Dracula movies, if not my favorite.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. See, I like Dracula Has Risen from
That's
the Grave.
no, that's awesome too.
Because he's actually stalking, what's her name? Veronica Carlson's character. The Monsignor's niece. And, he's actually, stalking on these rooftops, which I love. I absolutely love that movie for that.
Great characters in that one,
That
too.
set.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's Dracula AD. We recommend it.
Yeah,
Give
fun
it
movie.
a whirl.
Fun
Hammer
movie.
fans, new
Not
Hammer
a perfect
fans.
movie, but it's a fun movie.
New fans discovering or who have actually taken our advice and watched some of these Hammer films, definitely check this one out. It's a gas, baby.
Yeah,
if nothing
you
else,
can rent it on
gas.
Amazon Prime for like $3.
Right. And if you are very nice and you can front up the money to us, we will send Dean over to do the Dracula voice. Just turn the audio down, and Dean will do his Dracula voice.
I don't drink wine.
It's time for Dean Tracks. Dean Tracks.
These are foul baubles of man's vanity.
Oh, we got something going here.
Children of the night, what beautiful music they make. This is a one-note gag.
This is a good gag.
That's a banjo track.
You listen to this show. We can make that last a long time.
Oh, we are. You're getting a phone call at least. Dean, quick, do the voice.
We're going to have you record a bunch of lines and play them all the time.
Yeah, I'm going to have to isolate some of this audio.
Right.
Make sound clips out of them.
I would like you to record your voice over Gary Oldman to Bram Stoker's Dracula. You can have a lot of fun with it.
I have traveled the seas of time to be with you.
Oh, that's great. See, folks, see what watching Dracula AD 1972 can do. It can spawn awesome voice ideas like this one. It can spawn creativity.
I wish I could remember the Annie Lennox song because I just really want to sing it in that voice.
Oh, Love Song for
Vampire? Something like that. I don't know. It's not even close.
I keep wanting to do Kiss from a Rose from the Grave. Like.
Bad kiss. That's a different Batman. Put nipples in both movies. It's kind of funny. Hey, what's making our geek flag fly? Derek.
I went and saw Bullet Train, which was fun. It was a very fun movie.
I want to see that.
Yeah, it looked fun. I wanted to see it, so I saw it. But more importantly, the trailers that they showed before this movie, we've got a lot of good horror movies coming out within the next couple of months. There was one Olivia Wilde directed called, what do we decide it was called? the Darling something. Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah, Don't Worry, Darling.
Don't Worry, Darling with Florence Pugh and Harry Styles. It kind of seems like a Stepford Wives kind of situation. There's The Invitation, which is a really cool looking vampire flick.
Yep.
And The Menu with Ray Fiennes.
That looks good.
Yeah.
I've seen more previews for that one than any of the other ones.
Yeah, there were quite a bit, and there's even more I can't remember right now. But there's some good horror coming out.
I should ask my daughter, because when we went to see Nope,
yep.
I think
same
they had
thing. They had most of the
they
same
had a lot of the same trailers,
yeah.
and she was putting them in her phone like, I want to see these. She's taking notes during
I
the.
did too. I was putting on
Can
my.
we see this one, Dad? Can we see this one, Dad?
On
yes.
my letterbox.
Yeah.
I put them in my watch list.
Yep.
And I forget what the other thing that I was like really excited about.
Okay, save it for next time. Yeah. Fuck it. That's what Tarek Ski likes. Fuck it. Ryan, how about you?
I'm going with Light and Magic on Disney Plus. It's all about the behind the scenes of Industrial Light and Magic, from its humble origins back in 1976, when George Lucas was just cranking out the first Star Wars movie, and he needed a special effects house to do all the special effects work, because there really wasn't anything that could crank out that kind of stuff at the time. So he hired a bunch of guys. If the names Phil Tippett, Dennis Murin, John Dykstra, a whole bunch of other ones. Joe Johnston got his start there.
Rick Baker too, I believe, did some.
He might have done,
some Aliens at one point.
But if these names mean anything to you, then you will absolutely love this. It starts with like the obviously Star Wars, and it goes all the way up through the digital age, and some of it's kind of sad because a lot of the model makers got shoved aside when things went digital. So that side of the effects house was, if you didn't adapt, you were pretty much left out in the cold, and there were a few people that got a little hurt about what was taking place, but it's still a fascinating story, and I really liked it. It's like a 6-part thing on Disney Plus. It's called Light and Magic. Check it out. And also House of the Dragon kicked off on HBO Max this past weekend, and so far so good. Just like Game of Thrones way back in the day when it first started. It started slow, but it was good, had potential. Though hopefully this doesn't end with a thud like the
Game of Thrones.
Like Game of Thrones did.
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage, yes. Even in this theme, there are notes of the Peter Dinklage theme.
Excellent.
Yes,
as well there should be.
Yes, there are musical cues that harken back to the original theme.
He is one handsome little person.
I think I had something else too, Derek, and I can't remember. But that's pretty much it.
Well, we talked a lot about Dracula AD. Is a lot of acid.
That
messes with your brain, much
did.
like acid.
No pun intended. It sucked a lot out of me.
You alligator man.
Alligator man.
Dean, how about you?
I also enjoyed the new Game of Thrones. Nice. But I am late to the game in Ladybugs. Yellow Jackets.
Really late
I heard good things about that one.
I have too, yeah.
Ladybug's completely different movie. Yellow Jackets, the TV series.
Yeah. Rodney Dangerfield, right? As a soccer coach?
Yeah.
Surprisingly, they have a lot in common. No, they don't at all.
It is a soccer team. But totally addictive. It's... we watch so many like superhero and genre stuff that it was kind of nice to not watch
deal
it.
with that. Yeah.
And it was super good. Really engaging. Every episode, like, oh, what's going to happen? And also, I saw DC's League of Super Pets.
Oh, me
which
too.
I
took
cannot
Liam too.
recommend enough. Because of some theater issues, it did not get the promotion that it should have gotten, and but it's a really good movie.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Really enjoyable.
Yeah, Liam really liked that.
Cool. Yeah, I want to see that one.
I was pleased.
I am going to go with the Bob's Burgers movie. I finally
Did you
saw
watch
it.
it
was
too?
it good?
I loved it. I am a huge Bob's Burgers fan. My whole family.
Yeah.
We love Bob's Burgers, and we finally sat down and watched the movie, and it's just as good as the show.
Yeah.
Excellent. And sticking with animation, more Beavis and Butthead. I talked about the movie Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, and it was and now I'm checking out the series. Their show is they're back, baby. And you know what? If you're a fan of the show before, you'll be a fan of it now. Pretty much the same thing with some more polished animation. The characters are pretty much the same. I did notice they do a little more with Butthead than as to just, you said would, you know?
Yeah.
They give him a little bit more of a personality without taking away from his stupidity.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to explain. Just watch the show. You'll see. He's aware, slightly aware. Beavis is exactly the same, though. The show's really good. So again,
Are they still watching music videos?
No, they are watching TikTok videos now. And
Jesus.
YouTube videos. And they are riffing them to shit. And so if you have kids that watch TikTok and you hate that shit as much as I do, this is the show for you because they tear into those fucking assholes.
Does the first episode start with them trying to watch music videos and realizing that
No.
it's only reality TV shows? And
No, I wish it was. No. That would have been funny. So definitely check that out, and definitely check the Bob's Burgers movie out. Great music, great story.
The animation is incredible.
Yeah, the animation
on that.
is
That was way better
fantastic.
than it needed to be.
Yeah.
On which one?
On Bob's.
Bob's Burgers? I
Yeah.
still haven't seen it.
So because of the movie, my kids and I decided to rewatch the whole thing whenever we have dinner. It's like, we're going to go back to square one and just watch this amazing
such a fun
progression.
show.
It is a fun show.
Yeah.
I've
been falling asleep to an episode a night. Like, I
That's
literally
great.
fall asleep
Yeah.
to it every night.
Yeah.
And so I've watched 3 seasons now and probably have missed the last 8 minutes of every
Yeah.
episode.
Have you ever watched any of the behind the scenes stuff?
No.
With the voice cast?
I should.
So the guy that does the voice of the wife
Yeah.
is, you can tell he loves doing this voice because he's the only one that, like, whenever they're at like a con or whatever, he like wants to do the voice. You can see he wants to do the voice. The others are kind of like, yeah, we got to do the voices, but like,
Well, H. John Benjamin doesn't have to
he doesn't
do
have
one.
to.
No,
That's his
pretty much-
actual
yeah.
voice.
Although he does do other characters, so where he is putting on a voice.
Like
He's
what?
the
Yeah.
teacher. The big
He's Jimmy
teacher.
Jr. too, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
you mean on
yeah,
Bob's
yeah.
Burgers?
Jimmy Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bob's
because I was going
Burgers.
to say, like, on Archer, it's the exact same voice.
Yeah, it's Archer.
well, they had a crossover episode.
Oh, that
once.
crossover.
I never saw the
Did you ever-
crossover
did
episode.
you- have you watched
I've
Archer?
seen the
Yeah.
crossover
It was
episode.
it was an
How did
Archer
you-
episode.
Yeah,
though,
it's
right?
an Archer
Archer
episode.
episode.
Do you
Oh,
have-
then I must have seen it because I thought I'd seen all the
do you
Archers.
remember when he has amnesia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wakes up.
Oh, and everybody's dressed as.
Oh, yes, I did
they're
see that
normal
one.
human.
Yes.
Like they look
Yeah.
They
more
look like
human.
Archer, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I
they've
did
got,
see
you know,
that.
Archer
yeah.
style animation.
Louise
Yeah,
has
yeah,
got
yeah.
the ears
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
the voices and everything.
And
It
Archer's
is-
coming back for another season
Yes.
after all these years, too. I just saw.
I gotta jump back on that show.
Yeah,
too.
Archer was a
What are they gonna do
funny
without
show.
Jessica? What's her name?
I
Walters.
think they've
Yeah.
already been one season without her, haven't they?
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
If I haven't watched the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I didn't even know it had restarted again. I thought they were just
I knew,
restarting it again now.
but I have not. I have not watched. I
I'm
gotta
a
get back on
season
that.
behind. I have
Yeah.
it sitting on my.
I'm
DVD.
many seasons behind. There's so much to watch.
Yeah, that was one of the shows that got me through COVID. I'm like, I'm
Perfect show
stuck
to
here
do
on
it.
this couch for a
Might
week.
as well.
I'm just gonna watch Archer, and I started from the beginning, and I watched all the seasons.
Season 6 of Rick and Morty's coming out.
Oh, cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like Rick and
Sooner
Morty.
than
I
it
am
took.
so behind.
Sooner
on
than it
that,
took them
too.
to put out 5. So
Uh-huh.
I'm psyched.
And like season 3, there was like, wasn't there like 5 years between seasons 2 and 3?
Yeah.
So I have not watched The Simpsons other than in a very long time, other than their Treehouse of Horrors. I still occasionally watch
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
But this Halloween,
As well, you should.
we're getting a Treehouse of Horror, but we're also getting an entire It episode with
Uh-huh.
Krusty the Clown as Penny, well, doing the Pennywise part.
Really?
So that should be kind of cool
Oh,
to
that's
see.
funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that, like, you're like, really? They haven't done that yet?
I know.
Yeah, you think? Yeah.
Seems like they would have been all over that.
It was like
It's only been
Scary clown.
29
We've got a
years.
scary clown.
Like,
I remember seeing this like Simpsons calendar, and on one month there was a picture of Bartman and Krusty reenacting a Batman and Joker scene,
Aiden
and I'm like,
Batman,
Jesus, why
yeah.
didn't they freaking do that? That would have been fun.
Uh-huh.
All right, so good picks, good recommendations,
Yeah.
everyone. Great show, Dean. Thank you very much for being here. You have given
Always,
us
yeah.
a new
Welcome back,
character.
Dean.
Well, I'm
Thank you
very
for having
excited. We hope you'll come back. You'll of course join us because Halloween's coming, and you know we always like having Dean around for Halloween. It's
Yeah,
a
we
lot of
do.
fun.
it's the most wonderful time of the year.
It is.
And hey, if you want to hear past shows with Dean and many of our other wonderful guests, I wouldn't want to leave you guys out either. Where can we go to listen to them or Dean or us, even if they just want to hear us, not even the
Brian,
guests?
where do we go?
Where do we go, Brian? Do we go to the pictures?
We can go to the pictures, Mark. We just go to the pictures. You see us on the pictures, Mark. You want to see us on the pictures? You take just to the pitches.
Oh, God. I watched that part last night. I'm laughing my ass
and
off.
you texted me, and I'm like, oh, my God, I just watched it like a half an hour ago, and I thought the same thing.
I'm like,
Let's go to the pitches.
Sarah's looking at me like I'm nuts because I'm laughing. I'm like, if Brian were here, he would understand. She's like, well, go to your boyfriend's house and watch it, man.
My wife says the same thing.
Exactly. But I got to give her props. She loves Hammer, too. So I love you, honey. There you go.
Aww. Yeah. My wife wouldn't sit through it.
Well,
nope.
You should still love her, too, though.
Oh, I still do.
All right,
I still do, even though she doesn't love Hammer.
Hey, if you love Hammer, though,
and you want to hear past Hammer episodes, you can head on over to www.3gdpodcast.com. That's www.3gdpodcast.com. And there you'll find, like Mark said, all of our past episodes. You'll be able to find all of our social media links because, yes, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all our videos can also be found on YouTube. They're not really videos. It's kind of like a still picture, but you get the audio, and it's you can just imagine what we're doing down here in the basement. Use your own imagination. But there's a link to that as well. Also, I want to remind everybody that we do have a link to our Ko-fi page where if you want to make a small donation, a large donation, any donation will greatly help keep this podcast going. And as always, we thank you for listening.
You guys rock. Also, while we have Dean here, I would like to plug our Escape Pod show that we got coming out, Dean and Mark's Obscure Adventure, where we tackle horror movies not talked about all the time in every friggin' horror podcast. We're going to try to find horror, grindhouse, exploitation, stuff you may not know about. Am I correct? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. You were just doing so good.
Thank you. I just wanted to be sure. He's like, what the hell did I sign on for?
This whole show is just going to be me letting Mark talk.
That's no, they've got enough of that.
Wait a minute. That's this show.
Yeah. Oh, shut up. Hey, thank you very much for listening, everyone. For Three Geeky Dads, I am Mark.
I'm Derek.
I'm Brian.
Good night and keep watching. Oh, yeah. So
you already forgot about him already.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm Mark.
I'm Derek.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dean.
Jesus. This is why we need rehearsals. Peter
I'm
Cushing
Leslie Stahl.
should have mapped this all out for us.
And one of these men is hung like a horse.
That's the clock. Andy Rooney. All this is Andy Rooney. You ever notice the Three Geeky Dads can never just say goodbye? It takes them a year to sign off. It's very simple to say goodbye. I'll do it now. Goodbye. That's it. It's done. That's it. I'm ready. Okay, here we go.
What's the joke again? That's a pain in the neck?
Guys, I think Dracula is stopping by for a bite.
Oh, what a pain in the neck.
There you go.
All right.
Okay.
Well, what a pain in the neck. You got that, Dean? All right, we're saying it all together.
All right.
Okay.
I was leaving it to you guys.
Stay with your buddy.
Oh, no, you're a guest.
I'm not a dad.
You are a dad. You got two cats.
Here you go. Cat dad.
So what's the line again?
What was it?
The number 3.
Oh, what a pain in the neck.
What a pain in the neck.
The number 3.
Wait, no,
That
what did
comes
we
later.
say?
You
The letter
say what a
3.
pain in the neck with everybody else.
Oh, okay.
All right. Usually it's one person comes up with the setup and the rest of us respond with the punch. Line.
The punch.
The punch.
Line.
Ironically, I'm the straight man.
All right, ready?
Uh-huh.
Here we go. Guys, I think Oh, no, hold on. I'm all echoey. Guys, I'm echoey. I'm in one of these boxes.
Find me.
Okay.
I forgot the line again. This is going on too long.
What a pain in the neck.
That's the line, not you.
You ready?
Somebody
Ready.
give Dean a script.
Here we go. Guys, I think Dracula is stopping by for a bite.
What a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
I like it because I like how we all laugh. Okay, let's do it.
Bet you didn't think you were going to hear that phrase
Big
tonight.
porcelain penis. This episode brought to you by Big Porcelain. Oh, gosh. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening.